Hey everybody, it's Adam from IHP Fit, and we're here with Carlos and the IHP staff, and we've got episode 4. We're in season 3 of JC Unplugged. So as always, we're just going to get right into the questions. Carlos, first question: non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. You know, the NEAT, right? I threw something big at you.
Woo! Yeah.
Is that word you can charge more for?
Yeah.
Right? So when referring to weight loss, what role does it play in weight control?
That is probably the biggest portion of calorie usage that you can think of. Calories out. Let me see if I can remember this. You have a basal metabolic rate. That's a good portion. Just to give you an idea, to take body weight at a 0, and that kind of puts you in the ballpark. All right? Then you have here, you have exercise, believe it or not. Very small quantity for most people, if you're an athlete, if you're a triathlete. Then you have thermic effect of food. There. This is more than people think if you're eating the right stuff. If you're having whey protein and lots of lean meats and cruciferous vegetables, you could be here at 20%. This could be less than 5%. This could be 20% of your diet. Of the American diet, 5 to 7% U.S. Terrible. This is a healthy diet. Okay, this is a basal metabolic rate. This is what you burn to just stay alive. So if you were in a coma, believe it or not, and just breathing and standing still, this is what you would be burning. All right, and then your NEAT is here. Okay, this. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is what sets people apart. Right. So if you have an attorney who is at a chair all the time, and then of course he goes to lunch, power lunches, boom, 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 negotiations, conference room, picking up the phone, driving to and from different meetings, the courthouse and whatnot, this is not going to be very much. It's going to be sitting down. All right? If you have but he works out 3 days a week with you, personal trainer, and you whoop his ass, right? And he says, so I'm very active. My calorie burn is through the roof. These people that are professionals and work really hard 2 or 3 times at the gym, they have a false sense of calorie expenditure because they are fit. They can run 5K if they want to and whatnot. But that's why they get in trouble. That's why you see this doughy, very fit person. Okay? Now, if you have the same guy, but he works at Nordstrom, he works at a department store, the general manager at Target right there on Linton, guy's really thin. And I was talking to the person I was with, and I'm going, I wonder, because I saw him moving. And he's going from one bin to the other. He's got clothing here and clothing there, and you see, boom, he's taking off to the aisle, hanging on, then coming over here to returns. And I'm like looking at this guy, and I'm going, geez, I wonder what this guy walks in a course of 10 hours, which is a shift for him, 8 to 10 hours. And I asked him, I said, hey man, how much do you walk per day doing this stuff? The dude said, sometimes I'm up near 20,000 paces, 20,000 steps. He goes, I could go 7 miles inside of this Target. Now the guy doesn't work out, and the guy is a friggin' rail. Now he's a rail because it's genetic. But you could go, okay, who do you see in the gym? Pushing sleds, pushing the car, getting the pump. You see the attorney, so you go, wow, who do you see? This guy doesn't go to a gym. He's at Target, walking. You go, he's done, he's not fit. His NEAT could be 2,000 calories a day. Because he's just non-stop walking for 10 hours. All right? The attorney is not. So your NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is what you're not burning, all right, when you're doing this or here. And this could be this in a professional that sits, or a white-collar clerical type of person that sits. And this could be UPS Federal Express guy with 187 deliveries, and they're going to be into a house, out of a house, into a building, out of a building. And it's just, they drive, boom. And now they're driving the heat here in Florida, which means their body temperature's up. which means they're thermoregulating and sweating and sweating. That costs the body a lot of energy. That's why you're so tired when you just lay out at the beach. Why do you think? Because maintaining your temperature, whether it's maintaining it low because it's very hot or maintaining it higher because it's very cold, it takes a lot of energy for the body to do that. So the fact that they're hot is burning calories, and then just in and out of the truck, moving, this is where it's at. So your need is where you can really make the difference on whether somebody is thin or not based on caloric expenditure. All right? So this is where you get the pedometers and you tell people, I need 10,000 steps per day. And it really doesn't matter because this is a step and that's a step, okay? This is a step climbing and that's a step climbing. But if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and their Fitbit says, hey, you only have 1,500 steps, 2,000 steps, and they're looking for 10 or 8, they're gonna go, oh God. Now they start taking the stairs instead of the elevators. Now they park a little bit further to try to catch up during the day. Now instead of texting you to your desk, they'll walk to the desk, talk to you, come back, talk to you, and says, I'm gonna talk to everybody instead of emailing. So that's how you can use that as a way to increase that. Very important.
You know, years ago, it's funny you talk about that now. Years ago, I worked for a marketing firm, and we had a 20,000 square foot warehouse. And I was on one end of the building, and I had to interact with staff on the other end of the building. Come 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon, things start calming down. I used to strap on a pair of rollerblades, and I used to rollerblade through the warehouse down the other end and rollerblade back. Not even thinking that this is what I was doing.
Yep.
You know? So
in the old days, there was phone only. There was no computers, there was no nothing. So that's how people communicated. Either you got a call, or I had to get up and boom, hitch it all the way to the end. Even just this IHP that's not very far, but it's every bit of 20 yards, 30 yards from here to the front desk. And if you got to traverse that 50 times in one day, you start adding miles.
We walk a lot. All right, next question. I have a lot of people coming to me with bad backs, but I'm afraid to take them on for the fear of hurting them. What should my approach be in helping these individuals?
Do no harm. Number one. Okay? Look, most of the time, unless they're coming with an MRI, a very distinct diagnosis or a post-op, they're going to come from a chiropractor, they're going to come from a massage therapist, they're going to come from a PT therapist. And based on some manual analysis, they're going to be told that they have a bulging disc. You don't know if you have a bulging disc unless you have an MRI, so please. I don't want to hear that you have a bulging disc, herniated disc, grade 1, grade 2 tear, unless you have MRI, and even those are inconclusive a certain portion of the time. So, I want to hear that my chiropractor, my doctor, do you have pictures and have you had them analyzed? Yes or no? If you don't have pictures, you don't know. So, start with that. Number two, start with the understanding that you can have a herniation with no symptoms. So herniations are not necessarily bad. We got fighters fighting with 3 or 4 herniations asymptomatic. We got fighters with screws on their back asymptomatic. So I don't want to hear that herniations are the end of the world. Everybody here probably has some sort of herniation or protrusion, and all of us work out and are asymptomatic. And if you're in your 30s, you have probably some kind of herniation or protrusion in your disc. There's no way you're 30, been in sports, and everything lines up perfect. I'm telling you right now, it ain't gonna happen. We also have people who are in terrible pain with normal MRIs. No protrusion, no nothing. Now you need nerve induction testing, dye testing, and a bunch of other shit, all right? That half the time is conclusive, the other half is not conclusive, and then you're in the medication and surgery room. Bottom line is, when people come in, can you do something that's pain-free? Yes, I can. Did you get here? Are you hurting now? No, I'm not. Did you get in your car? Yes. Did you tie your shoes? Yes. All that was pain-free? Great. You have those movements available to you. So if they came in the car and out of the car with no pain, chances are you've got some kind of squatting or changes of levels that you can do. If they tied your shoe, you got some progression of the anterior reaching lunge that you can do. If they turn directions, okay, you have some kind of lateral reaching lunge that they can do. So you've already got, by the fact that they came in here and they're not lit up, you already have assurances that they can do a bunch of functional movements without pain. Then you ask the question, what flares it up? Okay, we have people here that don't know what flares it up. So sometimes they don't do anything and it flares up. Sometimes it's too much driving and it flares up. Sometimes it's emotional stuff and it flares up. All right. If they can't identify it, you can't identify it. If they can't identify it, for example, oh, you know when it flares up? Every time I do gardening work. Well, tell me about the gardening work. Well, I do this with the planter, and I do that with the planter, and I pull the weeds out, and how long does that take? Oh, yeah, I could be out there for 2 hours. How often do you do it? You know, every 3 weeks, every month my garden gets into some trouble, and I'm in there, you know, Home Depot and digging weeds. Smart, okay, let me see. You have them do a reaching lunge, you have them do some kind of wood chop to see what they look like when they're pulling weeds. And now all of a sudden they're here like this pulling weeds. So look at this. They don't do anything for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden they do something for 2 hours, get in a terrible position, and then they wonder why their back is lit up. Number one, they're not in condition to do it. Number two, they're using a shitty position. So you're in a perfect position. Why? Because you're going to get them conditioned so they can do the 2-hour job. So it's not one workout per month pulling weeds. No, it's going to be 3-4 workouts per week. Better position where they have more contribution from multiple muscle systems, so you're already going to be beautiful. Now that you're doing that, that's the architecture. How do you start? You start with pain-free movement. So can they do a short rotation? Does that hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. Check. Can you do a plank? Oh, I feel a little pressure. Okay, wait a minute. Bring the plank up with a Smith machine or some other structure. Can you do it here? Oh, I can do it here. Elevated plank. Can you do a cable press? Yes. Boom. Can you do a row? Yes. Can you do a deadlift? Maybe they do a deadlift like that. Oh, that hurts. Wait a minute. I want a deadlift from here. Just short like that. Can you do that? Oh, I can do that. I just can't get that low. You're not going to get that low. You're going to do this. Reduce range of motion deadlift. Can you do this deadlift with 30 pounds? No, that hurts. Can you do the same deadlift with 10 pounds? Yeah, with 10 pounds I can do it. Deadlift with 10 pounds. So the first session is figure out where they're at in their progression. Start with pain-free. Monitor the next day. Do you have inflammation? Do you have anything? No. Delayed on muscle soreness? We're all good. Let's roll. It's really simple, guys. Rehabbing a back is the easiest thing on the planet. We're experts at it. And I don't know why all personal trainers can't get it. It's an easy thing. Work pain-free. Work rigidity first, which is inherent in everything already. You don't even have to do it. Because this makes this rigid. So you don't have to even think of rigidity. Just do what you do pain-free and it's going to be fine.
Bad backs, not so bad.
Not so bad backs, not so bad.
Okay, how would you periodize a 1,200 meter athlete versus a 100 meter athlete who are, say, 12 weeks out from their season?
1,200 meter athlete, okay, easy. 1,200 meter athlete, you're going to have a lot more endurance, power endurance. 100 meter athlete, not so much. So 100 meter athlete, I may, for example, both of them I'm going to treat the same in the conditioning, strength, and power. Those three we're not going to change anything between those two athletes. The 1,200 meter is going to have a greater amount of pre-fatigue. So okay, 1,200 meters, that's about 3 laps. So you're looking at, what's the time on 1,200 meters? Runner. 400 meters, let's say sub-minute. So this thing certainly has to be about 240. Let's say I don't know, but let's say 240. All right, so if it's 240, I'm going to ask this guy to be doing maybe one full set of super legs and repeat 100s. Because 1,200 meters is almost like 1,600. It's almost like a mile, let's say, but it's 3/4 of a mile, let's say. So I'm going to be having 1 to 2 sets of super legs, all right, with 100 and maybe even 200 meters, maybe even 300 meters, all right, maybe 1 lap, 400 meters. So I'm going to have 1 or 2 sets of super legs with a whole, let's say maximum, a whole 1 lap to get them to feel what they would feel like at 800 where the thing gets nasty, okay? 100 meters, he's not going to get there. That hydrogen is not going to get at that level. So 100 meters, I may have him do a set of super legs and do a flying 30. Why? Because I want him to see what it takes to be at that 60, 70 meter mark already tired so he doesn't reduce his speed. It's the same principle, but everything gets short. All right? So the only difference between the 1,200 and the 100 would be in the power endurance, where the pre-fatigue protocol is going to be longer, and the actual technical aspect is going to be longer just because of the longer distance. So how would I train, let's say even, so you can see the mindset, how would I train a 1200 versus a 5000? Okay, now with the 5,000, I might go 3-4 sets of super leg and do 1,000 meters on a pre-fatigue. How would I train a marathon runner? Wait a minute, a marathon runner now is 40,000 meters, okay, 40K, so what would we do? All right, 5 sets of leg cranks, 6 sets of leg cranks, 504 reps, and now we're doing 20 kilometers. So the approach is the same. It's a pre-fatigue with a short distance. Pre-fatigue with a short distance. Okay, a marathon is 40 kilometers, right? 40 kilometers, and half of that is 20. That's why I'm going to 20 kilometers. So if you're doing it in English, basically 504 reps, and I'm running 13 miles. That's it. That's the longest my marathon runners run. But if you can run 13 miles, 12 miles, okay, 50% of the race, at the race pace, after 504 reps for your legs, I mean, you finish the 503, 504, boom, take off. No stretching, no nothing. Take off. And you run a marathon pace, the last 12, marathon ain't no problem. So, same thing. If you can do a flying 30 at your fresh pace after a set of super legs, you're not going to die at that 70-meter mark in the 100. Same thing with the 12, same thing with the 5K, and all that. So the approach is the same thing.
Consecutive super legs is no joke.
No, I mean, 5-6 sets of super legs is a monster, man. That's a little bit under 9 minutes of non-stop, 504 reps. When you can do that, talk about the spiritual training, how do you get there without some kind of spiritual transcendence? The person that comes in that does 1 set of leg cranks and they almost die, and you take that same person and 3 or 4 months they're doing 6 in a row. The fact that they can come in and go, okay, today's your 6, and they go, okay, and they're like this, you know, little stretch, and they go, what difference does it make in that same person? What has to transpire? That's not the same person. Impossible. So talk about your spiritual transcendence from 1 set of super legs to 6 in 9 minutes. Whew. Different energy.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 4. What would a typical workout look like if you were dealing with an underdeveloped teen?
For a typical workout for what? For all around or for hypertrophy? Let's assume
Say all around conditioning.
It would be our cookie cutter. Okay, we go through this in our mentorships extensively. So anybody who's digging this, Rio and I were talking. Hey guys, you know, and I'm going to answer this, but I need to get in a little rant for a little bit. The United States has just been Kardashianed to no end. Okay, you guys have to travel internationally just so you can see what home looks like. Okay, the you as trainer has become arrogant, simple, and lazy. That's simple. Arrogant and lazy. The American trainers, they think they know everything. All right, you go to South America, those people are monster workers. They're working 50 appointments a week, no problem. They're hungry. They know that they don't know, and they're dying to learn. The American trainer gets everything on YouTube, and they don't want to travel. Oh, I gotta go to the conference. I gotta spend money. I gotta spend my money. I don't have too much time off. Blah, 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 blah. All right? And you actually make good money here in the United States, and you can travel to anywhere and get specialized seminars, certifications. And you guys don't do that to the level that you should be doing it. South Americans, Colombians pay 3,000 colones to $1. Okay? And they come here to conferences. They come here to $2,500 mentorships. Okay? Asia, the same thing. 7 RMBs to $1. And those guys come here, and those guys travel everywhere. American trainers, you gotta get on the ball. Okay? You don't know what you think you know. Right? And YouTube is not the place to get it. All right? Spend your money. Go visit Mike Boyle. Go visit Mark Verstegen. Go visit Todd Durkin. Come visit us. We have great mentorships here. You want to know this stuff, and you really want to know it, and you don't want to be one of 60 people. You want to be one of 2 people, one of 3 people, and spend time with myself and my staff. This is where you learn it. This is where you learn it. We love sharing it with you like this, but this is only just a touch. When you come in here, that's where you look through these glass doors and you actually see what I'm putting here being done with a 60-year-old and with a fighter. And you go, okay, now I see the system at work. All right? So American trainers, we love you guys. But like a coach, I'm gonna coach you up, okay? You're sitting on the bench a little too much. All right? You ain't all that. So get off the bench, start practicing your free throws, start practicing your dribbling, and be all that you can be. Now, this is what it looks like. This is our cookie cutter, okay? Boom, I'm not gonna go through all this craziness here, but you can see the structure of it. All right, let's say that this is legs, this is a push or the chest, and this is a pull, and this is back. Got it? So we're gonna go, boom, traditional. We're gonna use a hybrid approach. Why? Because this is a young cat. We want hustle and we want muscle. So let's take care of the muscle first. We go squat, leg press, something with a 2-leg. We go lunge, or something that split stance with a single. We go deadlift, which is a hip hinging dominant. Then we push up with an incline bench. We push out with a flat bench. All right, and we push down with dips or a decline. Then we pull the opposite of how we're pushing. We go lat pull down, or pull-ups weighted, some kind of equivalent, cable row, and then we do an upright. So look how simple this is, okay? Here, boom. 3, 4, 5 sets of each. That gives you a workout for the hips and legs that's like perfect. You push up, you push out, you push down. You pull from the up, pull from across, you pull from the down position. Easy, so it's mirrors, right? So if you do 3 to 4 sets of each of these triplexes, you're gonna get 12, got 9 to 12, and if you go 5, you can go 15 sets of each major body part, right? Then here we start doing, this is one of our many templates, rehab massage, then this is functional training, this is rotation, this is functional training, and this is core. And I'm not gonna write all this stuff down, but I'm gonna walk you through it. We use the unloading, which means on traditional leg day, we're gonna do functional chest and back. On traditional chest day, we're gonna do functional legs and back. And on traditional back day, we're gonna do functional legs and push. So here, we take a functional exercise from here, stability ball push-ups. Then here, a little rehab. We'll do a rollout. We'll do some range of motion for the top. Okay? Because when we're doing this body part, we respect it. We don't touch it with functional training. So we're not going to do nothing for the back, we're not going to do nothing for the legs, leave the legs alone. We're using them today. Okay? Here, recline pull, because I'm going to unload the back. Here, rotational, horizontal. Here, I got my choice. I can do this, or a combination. So let's say we go combination. Cable, push, pull. So now you're unloading the push and pull simultaneously. Core. Since I'm working the back, I'm doing core front. That's where you have your sit-ups, your crunches, your leg, knee flexions hanging, knee tucks, whatever, okay? And yeah, I do sit-ups. Yeah, I do squats. And yeah, I do a shitload of rotation, and I don't buy any of that's dangerous. I've been working on this for 40 years, haven't sent one person to the hospital. I've rehabbed backs, worked with 86, 96-year-olds. We put them in the friggin' grave doing this stuff, all right? And we put fighters in the octagon and special forces in front of Saddam Hussein and Bin Laden, all right? So don't tell me it's dangerous. If you say it's dangerous because you're measuring something, here's a friggin' wake-up call. Measure something else, all right? Because you're measuring the wrong thing. Now, here, we're gonna unload the legs. Lateral reaching lunges, here. Okay, here's the nice, you can do an IT band roll with a biofoam. You can do a little Pilates thing. You can do a stretch, yoga stretch for the hip flexor, so you can do a cobra here. All right? Then here, we just unloaded the legs. We're gonna unload the back. One arm row with a cable. One arm row with a band. Okay, here. If we went rotation sideways, we're gonna go rotation from the bottom up diagonal. Here, boom, boom, combination. So I can get you on a single leg. Now I gotta pull you. Bend you down and do alternating curls, which is a pull. Now I've got hip, I got hamstring, I got glutes, I got that bent over position that makes you super strong if I'm dealing with ladies. Beautiful. I got the saddlebag area, they love me, right? And now I'm gonna do core. Since this is pushing, I can throw core back in there. That's a perfect place to hit the posterior chain. All right? Hit it with an extension, a reverse hyper, or a bridge. Boom, done. Now you come in here.
something in here. All right, if this was a lateral reaching lunge, this could be a sagittal plane reaching lunge. This could be an anterior reach. This could be a single leg squat. Now I'm going to unload this. Put a T push-up in there. Boom, boom, nice core, multiplanar core, and big, big shoulder stretch. If this was a cable from the bottom up, this is going to be a cable from the top down. So now I've got my octagon covered sideways. Bottom up, top down, all diagonal. Easy. Now here, legs and push. If I went bent over curls, I'm going to go bent over tricep extensions. Look at the dose that I'm getting for the posterior chain. Boom, boom, boom. Then I got single leg or staggered stance bend over. Single leg, staggered stance bend over. Lateral reaching lunge. Sagittal plane reaching lunge or single leg anterior reaches. Look at all this stuff. How are you going to have a bad back here? Impossible. How are you not going to have stiffness? Boom, boom, boom. Easy. And how are you not going to have abs? I'm even doing sit-ups here, okay? Pissing off all my friends that say the sit-up is bad for the spine. I love them too. Okay? So if we did hypers here, we do reverse hypers here. Okay? Use Brett Contreras' glute hand. Okay? You can use the glute hand here, or we can use the glute hand in here. All right? Not glute hand, the glute buster. You know? Brett Contreras, awesome dude. He's got this machine. Bam, bam, beautiful. So use that. Go buy his shit and do it. All right? So you can use that in here. You can use it in here where you're unloading the legs. And you can certainly use it as a variation of your posterior chain traditional stuff. That's how we would train this young cat. If we're going 4 weeks, conditioning, all these traditional exercises, 8 to 15. All the functional stuff, 10 to 20. Easy. And then if you want to know more how we use this to change it for strength, power, endurance, come on over to the mentorships and we'll be happy to explain it to you, program it, have you program it, and then have you go through it so you can feel it. You good? Okay, why don't you do this real quick. Go like this. Go woosah. Woosah.
It's not working. It's not working. My blood pressure is now down to 180/20.
All right, last question here. Single leg squats or speed ladders? Which one do you choose to get an athlete faster and quicker?
Single leg squat versus agility ladder. They do 2 different things.
But people use the speed ladder to get faster and quicker, which I think is.
If you're looking, okay, all right. If you're looking at it from the fundamental development standpoint, you don't belong on an agility ladder unless you can do the stuff on a single leg, like Adam says, all right? That's like putting, running before crawling, okay? You have to be able to stabilize the locomotive position, because think about it, why are you using a agility ladder? To get fast, how? To get fast on your feet. What do you do on your feet? Well, most of what you do on your feet is you locomote. And even when you're jumping off of a single leg, it's part of locomotion, which is single leg 7 stability. You have to be able to have good tires in a car before you can go fast. So before we talk about carburation, horsepower, and all that, fuel injection, and all that stuff, you gotta say, does this thing have tires? Doesn't have tires? Forget about all that other stuff, put tires on it. The single leg anterior reach and the single leg squat in the 7 position, stabilizing that is the #1 thing you have to develop in everybody. Old people so they can walk, young people so they can run, and athletes so they can be athletic. Simple. After that, do the agility ladder. Plus the agility ladder, and we got carried away with that, like we get carried away with everything. We got carried away with medicine ball, we got carried away with stability balls, we got carried away with Bosu balls, we got carried away with everything. And what started as a good idea, which is just some agility, ended up being a salsa, a runaway salsa class with the agility ladders. Now we got agility ladders in L's, in X's, in V's, in W's. We got steps on agility ladder that you've never seen the human body perform. For the sake of what? And then you're doing this thing over 10 meters, and then 10 meters that way, and 10 meters that way, and then backwards. It gets to a point where, like, you're only getting good on an agility ladder. You're so past the point of no return or diminishing returns. It's the ability to say, all right, you know what? Tap dancing is good. Tap dancing gives you quick feet. So you know what? Every NBA player and every soccer player should take 2 years of tap dancing. Well, maybe a little tap dancing might be all right, but how much of it? Okay, 5 minutes, learn 3 or 4 basic steps, and then you're done. Because after that, After that, you're learning how to tap dance. You're not getting better soccer out of it. So the agility ladder, the hurdles, and all these things, you need enough to stimulate the pattern. That's it. That's it. After that, you're just teaching people to be good on these pieces of equipment, and you're not going to get a transfer to the sport.
And there lies part of my problem with agility ladders, is that everything with an agility ladder is pre-programmed. So if they can't coordinate at day 1, they coordinate at day 3 and day 4, and then 2 weeks later, they're so efficient at that one movement because they've memorized the movement. I'd rather see get stronger on a single leg, and then if you're a basketball player, get on a court. If you're a football player, take your routes on the football field. If you're a baseball player, take ground balls and fly balls in the outfield. That, for me, is real agility that you're going to move.
Well, that goes to the thing that the most functional training for an activity is the activity. However, there has to be a bridge. We know that general strength training helps the activity. So the most functional, yes, is the activity, but there has to be a bridge where you can do some machine work, and getting strong on machines is going to help your basketball. But after a point, it just doesn't help anymore. Then what? Then you do the functional stuff, and the functional stuff comes from very general to very specific. Okay, so now you want the bridge. Maybe between the real specific single leg stuff and the actual basketball, we might have a little something there of agility ladders, sport specific stuff, resisted training, and things like that as a bridge to get you to the activity. I'm all about creating that seamless bridge to the activity. But to be in one place where you blow that thing up, I don't care what it is, single leg stability, you can blow that up. What are you going to do? You want to get to the point where you're doing kettlebells, pistols with 80 kilo kettlebells like Steve Cotter, so you can run faster? Then you're going to get it. Steve Cotter is a monster, but his functional application of the pistol squat, he passed that along. The rest is to show you what an animal he is, and he's a super nice guy, super great teacher of kettlebells, and a physical monster. But that's what that exercise does. Show you the physical monster that Steve Cotter is. It's not something you want to do with your athletes, that if you do them, they'll become great athletes. No, that point of diminishing return was passed a long time ago. So enough to get you to the next step, enough to get you to the next step, enough to get you to the next step. Never here for too long and blow this area too big, because you're gonna lose.
All right, that's it. So
All right.
I know we got some questions on Facebook. I promise you we're going to get on them the next time we do JC Unplugged. We're just running a little short on time today, but I promise we'll get to them in a couple of weeks.
And thank you for your participation. That was sweet. That helped us out a lot.
Take care. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.